Hey, all of my Cancer friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about Cancer, I'm talking and house structure, I'm talking about Cancer rising. This is also applicable to Cancer moon as well as Cancer sun. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Cancer, this video is also applicable for you. Also, please note that I am referring to the Pacific time zone. So if you're somewhere else in the world, please adjust for your location. The month of March, I really think we're going to start to feel this conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus growing. This is a month, this is going to come exact in April, but as it gets tighter and tighter, it is having influence on the other planets. So here we see that the sun is in Pisces, which is your 9th house of foreign travel, of higher education, of philosophical beliefs and ideologies, of publishing, business, commerce, marketing. We have Saturn here and Mercury. They were having this conversation at the end of February, and it continues on. I believe that Saturn is asking, as it traverses through Pisces, to create a strong foundation with your personal history and your spirituality, to start to intermingle and to integrate some of the more challenging experiences, maybe even some of your fears, and how they ultimately empower you. And this is the sign of Pisces, of spirituality, of connection to the other side, of really people with a lot of Pisces energy are able to connect with other energies, is what I want to say. They have very vivid meditations and are very intuitive. And you, as a Cancer, are very intuitive. So as your belief system becomes more anchored in recognizing or being aware that many fears are actually the journey for empowerment, that often our fears are in our mind. They are the things that we project out into the future that we, not literally what's happening now, but what could potentially happen. Because this transit will be followed, or this, yeah, I guess transit's the right word, but I want to kind of call it this conversation between Mercury, the sun, and Saturn, sun being how I assert myself out in the world, will be picked up again as Venus moves into a connection and conversation with Saturn. So first, we're going to look at where my mind has gripped me and my fears, where I potentially speak my fears in such a way that I'm giving them more power and more energy than I realize I'm doing. That could very well be happening. So this is an opportunity to shift that energy. As Pluto moves into your 8th house of transformation, of death and rebirth, of other people's money, of taxes and inheritances and sex, and even, we see the occult there. We also see the deepest psychology in the 8th house. And here Aquarius is really looking for a liberation from any human structures that have tethered Cancer energy into discounting their intuitive knowing, in ignoring those yearnings that are getting louder and louder, probably as you get older, of a deeper truth, an intuitive deeper truth that's coming to the surface now. We are going to see on the 9th. Let me just change the calendar real quickly. Now we see that, well, Mercury will move into Aries in just a few hours. This recording is for, I've left the wheel at 12 o'clock, which is the 12 o'clock Pacific time. So at some point on the 9th, Mercury will move into the sign of Self. And as Mercury moves, through Aries, the thoughts are really going to be on how can I be brave and pioneering in my own life? How can I find space in my career sector? We see that the wheel is now showing and reflecting Cancer rising here. So Aries is your 10th house of public image, of how people perceive you, of career. It's also a house where if your status changes, if you go from single to married, or from childless to having a child, this is a house we would see this happening in. So here, I think for my Cancers, this North Node and Chiron have been powerful here in this house for you. And as Mercury traverses through this point, Mercury hasn't met the North Node here in your 10th house yet. The last time it met the North Node, it was over here in your 11th house. So this is really about individualizing. It's about thinking if your conversation is supporting what you want versus maybe inadvertently undermining your results. We are going to see on the 10th go into a new moon in Pisces. Let me just get that going. This new moon in Pisces is going to be at 1 a.m. Pacific time, and it is the 5th new moon at 20 degrees. The 20th degree is that Plutonian degree, the Scorpio degree, the degree where the things hidden in the dark scare us. It's also an opportunity to plant the seeds for a toxic release of some kind. The Pluto rules the anus, Scorpio rules the anus, and the release of toxic waste. And as Saturn has been going through your house of Pisces, that 9th house of beliefs, I believe that you're starting to release or integrate or somehow extract a wisdom from some toxic energies that you've experienced. And now you're being tasked a bit by Mercury to stay the course and keep yourself at the forefront of what it is that you want. And this is in your career sector. This is in how you want to be seen in the public eye. I always think that Cancer doesn't give themselves enough credit for the strength that they have. They are literally, they rule the mother. The mother is the ultimate creator of life. Without her, there is no man. So I think this is a powerful time to claim that energy and plant the seeds for your own blossoming. I think that when we started these new moons at 20 degrees in the Sagittarius season of 2023, it was about, really looking at my beliefs and looking at how I run my life. Am I doing it based on how others will perceive me and what is acceptable in the 10th house structure? Or am I playing to a bigger picture that comes from my heart? All right, let's go to the 12th. We will see Venus move into her exaltation in Pisces and begin a conversation with Saturn. And I think this is very powerful because oftentimes people will say that this can be very dampening. Wherever Saturn goes, there's restriction, there's limitation, there's rules and boundaries. And at the same time, I really think that Saturn is saying, what rules do you make for yourself? Because Saturn is tasking us at a deep level. What do we believe about ourselves, our ability to create, our ability to connect with spirit? As Venus moves into her exaltation, where she is a welcomed guest. I mean, they roll out the red carpet, the fine china is brought out, beautiful music is playing, food is rolling, wine is rolling, everything is lovely. And this conversation with Saturn that's going to grow throughout the rest of this month and into April is about how can I root in my own skills, my own voice, my own creativity, my own sense. I mean, Venus here could be a chef. She could be an interior designer. She could be a singer. She could be anything creative, an artist. And in the sign of Pisces, a filmmaker, could be a songwriter, so many beautiful things, and even a spiritual teacher. So here, I really think that this conversation, while initially it may feel a little bit like Saturn may be saying, get your head out of the clouds. I also think Saturn's saying, if you believe that your head belongs in those clouds will come to you. And this is starting to support this sextile over here, because now we're seeing Saturn is in a sextile here with Jupiter. So this is powerful. On the 19th, we will see the sun move into its exaltation in Aries. I'll move it to the 20th because it's later in the day. I think this is very powerful. Everyone who's born with the sun in Aries has a sun that's very powerful. And at the same time, this sun in Aries is really calling the hero energy from Mars. It's calling this energy of being brave within your your willingness to put your individuality at a priority the way you would nurturing others. Because when you put yourself as a priority, you're actually teaching others that they can put themselves as a priority, that is something that they can spend time dreaming and wanting to build their careers and spending that time that is focused on them. And I think that's really, really powerful, because the sun is our ego. It's our will, our purpose, our vitality, and our individuality. And Aries is very individualistic. It's also a sense of authority over our own lives when we look at it here in the 10th house. So now, as we move a little further, we see that the sun is in a beautiful sextile here to Jupiter, and a conjunction with Neptune here, which has been going on for a few days. I think that this is really, again, another spiritual conversation. Most people say any planet near the sun is combust, but if the sun is the leader of the zodiac, why would it want to dampen every planet instead of uplift and inspire? So I believe that there's the potential that we have water of the Neptune, the sun is like fiery, and here we start to get our steam. This is the steam engine that moves us forward, because here we see that Pluto is offering us some kind of revolution, some kind of interior rebirthing of who and what we are. And we can't quite see how it's going to play out yet with this half square to Jupiter, but I think that will reveal itself as we get further into April and we see that conjunction. We'll start to feel something popping, for lack of a better term. Okay. Then we go into on the 20th through the 24th. So let's kind of look at this as we move forward. We see Venus and Saturn on the 21st in an exact conjunction. Now, I think this is very powerful because, again, it's at that Piscean degree. So here we're getting a double dose of putting structure into our own version of our life, of what we want. We see now that we have this sextile here to Jupiter. So initially we couldn't quite see what we wanted to do. And I think it's because Cancer, we're supposed to feel it. It's supposed to be an inner knowing versus an outer seeing and then going to conquer. So I think this will be a powerful time for Venus and Saturn to really start to lay the foundation, put up the framework for this new or the next 2.0 version of whatever it is that you're birthing for yourself as a priority. And it doesn't always have to be a career. You know, this 9th house here for you or Pisces is your 9th house. So this could be a whole new birthing of how you perceive yourself, your beliefs, your ideologies out in the world. All right. So on the 22nd, we will see Mars, well, with the 23rd, Mars will have moved into Pisces. Again, you know, Mars in Pisces is not considered the strongest. Here we've got the fire god inside of water. And yet at the same time, you know, sometimes slowing Mars down gives him a time to be more emotional, to connect with the hero emotions. Why, you know, Mars runs into the burning building to save the kitten. And it isn't just to save the kitten's life, it's to save the child or the family from pain of loss. So as Mars moves through this spiritual and very creative sign of Pisces, we're going to see this Saturn tasking Mars again with being really stepping into a vibration of strategy. Mars is exalted in Saturn's house of Capricorn. So while they seem counterintuitive, they're not. Somehow they're cooperative. This is the master, and this sometimes is the, you know, the mentor. And here, as we move into this idea that these 3 planets are going to have a conversation, this is how can I take action in a solid, sustainable way to birth my own dreams, my own desires, my own skills. And I think that's really powerful for Cancer, because when you allow yourself to put that joy into your heart that's for you, you naturally spread that joy out to those around you that you love and who you want to see thrive so much. And I think this is even further evidence when we get to the 25th. We have our first lunar eclipse of 2024. This will happen at 12 a.m. Pacific time. And this is a very powerful eclipse because the moon is at 5 degrees of Libra, within a few degrees, 3 degrees of the supergalactic center. The supergalactic center within the Shapley cluster is a point where it's about relationships. But it's not about relationships with other people. It's about the relationship you have with yourself that then you take into the relationships you have with other people. So this is a super powerful time to really connect and to kind of do a deeper dive into your motivations, because sometimes when we do things, we think we're doing them for ourselves, but we're really doing them for other people to applaud us or to think that we're doing the right thing, or we're doing, we're thriving, or whatever the case may be. We see, the full moon is when the moon is at its brightest phase. The moon is your ruling planet. And here it is having a lunar eclipse, which is a fated event, offering you, Cancer, an opportunity to really connect with your inner being, yourself, your wants, your desires. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is here in Pisces right now. While they're not, the moon and Venus are not having a very easy conversation, because the moon again is wanting to focus on other people. And I think Saturn and Venus are kind of saying at this point, if we are going to be effective with other people, we get to focus on ourselves first, and that joy will resonate out to others. And that may be slightly uncomfortable for you. Pluto's always going to be having conversations with everybody, no matter what. I'm sorry to say, but Pluto is at a time in history where Pluto is really wanting to bring the truth to the surface. And here we see it making a lovely trine to the moon and a sextile to the sun. It's also technically making a sextile to Neptune. So I think that this is where we find our spiritual balance, our spiritual footing, our spiritual walking stick. And while Pluto's not making an easy aspect to Venus at this moment, Venus is still in the house of her exaltation. So she's going to dream a little bit bigger before she's going to want to look into the darkness of her soul that's holding her back. All right, for my Cancers, that is it for our March 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I am available. My information is below in the description. You can reach out and I'll send you all the info and rates. Please join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do our angel readings and we pull a tarot card for each sign and get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. And please please subscribe, please share. And I look forward to seeing you in April, when we will be experiencing Jupiter and Uranus's very loud and expansive conversation for us all. Have a great month, everybody. Bye-bye.